Government, SG, Secretary General, President.
Good afternoon, Leonard colleagues. Sitting before you is Abigail Piri. Some may know me as Lady Justice, and I'm contesting for the position of SG, which is Secretary General. Some of you might wonder, why am I standing here, being a second year first semester law student who has less experience in the eyes of men, but yet I stand before you as a current core moot court coordinator who is well specialized with coordinating moot court activities within the law faculty. Not only coordinating moot court activities, but through my leaders, I have seen the operation of the Law Association. I have seen what it takes to be a Secretary General, what it takes to be the chief spokesperson of the Law Association. Me standing before you, it's not anything for fame or rather to build a name, but it is to serve the people, to bring forth accountability, it's to bring forth transparency, because one thing we know is that as the Law Association, we should have transparency. You have to know what is happening within the association. So without a proper Secretary General, it is something that cannot be achieved. So I'm standing before you, or rather seated before you, with assurance and guarantee that I'll be your perfect SG. I know some of you might say, okay, we've heard that you have served as a moot court coordinator, but what assures us that you have experience? One thing is that my experience is not something that's a myth, but it's a proven fact through my service in the Law Association.
All right, we'll take our submissions. 2 questions from the audience.
For Madam SG, my question to you is, what is it that you're going to do differently from the former SG?
All right. What is it that I'm going to do differently from the former SG? I'm not going to stand here and bring shade to the former SG because he's been a great leader. I have seen him move in his leadership, and honestly, he has done an excellent job. But what I'll bring to the table is that I'll do more than he has done through his guidance and mentorship. Because one thing that is assured is that in leadership, it is not a battlefield. It is a place where we get to enhance each other's skills. So I assure you that what he's done, I'll do more. And that is not only writing up minutes for meetings or maybe bringing forth general meetings for the Law Association, but as well as bringing everything to your face, bringing it to your table. That is being transparent to everyone and also being accountable. The thing is that information passes through me, then to the IPS. So if there is no information from me, there is no information to you. So I'll ensure that the lane of communication is properly handled with my transparency in the association.
All right, one more question.
Council Abigail, as a concerned Nipa student, I'm not even a law student. I'm just here for the law student, or for the students of Nipa. So, as SG, I believe there's no association that has no clashes. You, as the SG, have powers that can even match the president's powers. There's a situation where you find that the views of the president or the vice president are not inclusive enough to make sure that all your members feel like they are part of the association. If that was to happen, how would you handle the pressure, or would you overturn the president's decision since it is in your power? Thank you.
Right. Lady Justice brings order in the court and order in the association. So me standing before you, I know that I'm well capable not to move with the flow of the river in the association, but rather to stand there and lead the way in the association. Good afternoon. Fine things in house.
A very great speech from you, very eloquent spoken, but challenge me, what would you propose you're going to do for the law students? Because a lot of people are crying for internship, they're crying for opportunity, they're crying for the ability to behave and to stand out and to let the school shine. What's your say?
Alright. So on that one, that's why as SG, I have to bring on board resources. And if you heard or rather I did not mention it, but I worked hand in hand with Council Charity there, who's known as Barrister Ngulube, under the mentorship of Council Jacob Piri. So one thing that I'm aware of is I wouldn't stand here if it wasn't for the mentorship I was rendered. So as SG, I'll ensure that even as my IPS, or rather the other executives, are on board, will bring forth activities that only not relate to moot court, but also activities that will bring men to the scope of law. Yes. So that's typically introducing fellow counsel to senior counsel, like the ongoing LAS meeting that we're going to have tomorrow. Many are not going to be in attendance because many don't know it. So as SG, if information is circulated, men will have the opportunity to actually speak to their role models in that regard.
Okay, how was your SG?
Good afternoon, fellow colleagues. My name is Tara Leah Mono, a second semester law student at Nipa, aspiring for the position of Vice President. Me, being a law student, I am not a silent member of their law association. Some of you might have seen me participate in all the moot court competitions ever since I came here at Nipa. Not only that, I have also attended the court visitations. What is my vision? My vision is bringing together or acting as a bridge between the ladies and the gents of the law association. I'll bring forth activities that will have to do with academics and leisure activities, because I believe that we don't have to just focus on academia, or rather academics. Law, or rather any other program, has issues, stressful issues. So it's very important that we don't focus on academics only. When I say academics only, I mean moot courts or court visitations. We should also focus on leisure activities. So what leisure activities am I talking about? The leisure activities I'm talking about are activities like sports. Looking at the LAS, the Law Association of Zambia, those are practicing lawyers. Those people have leisure activities like sports. They engage in sports because mental health is very important. Not only that, I intend to organize mini annual galas where law students will gather and share ideas, or rather network. These galas will not only accommodate law students alone, but even other guys from other associations. Not only that, I intend to bring forth what is known as the Student Legal Aid Clinic. Some of you might be asking, what is this? So the Student Legal Aid Clinic, this is where law students will offer free legal advice to people that are in need. There are people out there that don't know their rights. And one thing you have to bear with me is that as being law students, we know that ignorance of the law is not an excuse. So this legal aid clinic, or rather this platform, will be there to show that we'll be there to educate people that don't have the legal knowledge. It will not only cater for those students, it also cater for those people in other fields. Let me say in the people that are studying computer science and other courses. It will not only cater for students alone, but will make sure that it will even go outside the law association, or rather outside the school. We'll go in communities and educate people. Definitely, what I know is that anything good comes with a little amount of money. We might go in those communities and offer legal advice to those people, even for as less for less amounts, just like a 20 kwacha. That amount of money will be used in the law association. Many of you complain to say the 30 kwacha that we pay for affiliation is not.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Before I go any further, I would love to acknowledge the presence of the Prime Minister-elect, Mr. Shindano. My name is Moise Mwanga, well known as your international lawyer, Pariba Mankuche. I am contesting for the position of Vice President. It is very interesting today that it would be maybe for the first time that a male candidate is standing in the position of the Vice President. It's very surprising. But I think and I believe change must be done. We need to break in the gap which cultural norms, and I think even the general election, it is well known to say a vice president should only be a female. Is that true? So those are just cultural things or some notions which have been just placed in order. It is all about capability and knowledge and what you're putting to the table. So I standing in would need to change that notion, not just at Nipa Law Association, but even to the general public election of Zambia, where they say only a female candidate. It's not written which provision, anyone to cite a provision. No. Therefore, I'm coming in to bridge change, and that change brings a lot of opportunities and inclusivity. Thank you.
Question is, based on what both of you have said, I think we've seen in the recent regimes where mostly the vice president seat is constituted by females. Okay. Do you think there should be a policy that should regulate that?
Policy. Anyone can lead. And one thing we also need to know, yes, we might say there is gender equality. We need also to consider that that's the biggest fact, and I'm not disputing that. So one thing we're talking about, it is about passion, capability, and vision. If someone, you cannot elect a female because the policy states to say a female should stand on the vacancy of the vice president, while that person doesn't have the capability, the vision, or the qualification needed. And I must say, the other thing we need also to look at, if I can bring you to the Nipa Law Association Constitution Part 2, under Article 8, the duties of the vice president in that constitution are only to be there when the president is absent or is not present, and is only there to sign on some certain documents. Are those only duties you can literally put? Therefore, I, Moise Mwanga, if I am put in office, I would love also to amend the duties of the vice president.
Thank you very much for that question. So it's not about having a policy, but it is for the interest of gender balance and gender equality. So I feel having a vice president that is female will also air out voices for the ladies. Looking at the positions that they are up, the presidential positions are held by the males. I feel like me being the vice president, being a lady, I will also air out the views of the ladies. I'm not saying I'm just going to speak for the ladies, but at least there will be a voice that is greater up there to speak out for the ladies. Thank you.
Well, a follow-up question. Councillor Moise, you said that the duties of the vice president is to stand in while the president is unavailable, right? Does it mean that if the president is available throughout, you are irrelevant?
For that question, of course I didn't state that, and I think the duties which have been given to the vice president are minimal. So mostly, I think this is something you have been seeing in a lot of organizations, institutions. Mostly, the vice president is to say doesn't have a lot of duties to do. I think a lot of you would agree with me.
Okay, some questions.
Once again. So in a case where the president is not available, the vice president has to be there. But in a case where the president is there, does it mean that I'm going to be silent? No, I'm not going to be silent. Instead, I will be the bedrock and I will be the sider of the president. I will be there with him in making decisions. Thank you.
Okay. You have exhibited your competence in explaining to us why we should vote for you. I've got a question. The issue here is that as the vice president, one of your abilities is to deal with disciplinary matters, isn't it?
Yes.
Now imagine His Excellency, who is the president, misbehaves in that way. How can you approach that particular matter and bring it to the table of attention?
So one thing I understand about discipline is that discipline is for everyone, whether you're a president, whether you're a vice president, because even at home, even when someone older than you, or rather even when our parents have done something wrong, they have to be disciplined, because those people are our guides, and if they're going in the other way, you have to bring them back on track. So definitely I would approach the president if he goes wrong, and definitely he will be disciplined, because he has to act right. He has to be a lead for everyone. Thank you.
In regard to that, to discipline the president, this takes us back to the Nipa Law Association Constitution, which is part 2 under Article 8 subsection 8(2). It states the vice president is the advisor to the president. Therefore, if I've seen the president is not in order, I will need to sit him down, advise him on the way he's supposed to behave. If it escalates from my hands, I will need to communicate to the legal division, who have got the disciplinary committee. Thank you.
On the aspect of discipline, we know very well that dress code is something very important for ourselves as lawyers, right? So let's say someone like myself is not obedient with the dress code, in short. How will you as a vice president ensure that someone like me abides to what we are supposed to be doing?
Dress code, true. I feel like as law students, it's very important to uphold decorum. And on that one, as a vice president, I would make sure to say you uphold it too. Because who are we training if we are not upholding decorum? Even at Ziali, it is one of the biggest things they put to be very important. So we'll put a police. If you misbehave out of our police, we have got the Nipa division, the legal division. We're going to report you. I think that's the way to go.
Okay, so to answer the last question, there's one thing that my father tells me: dress how you want to be addressed. If you are a law student, you have to dress in a formal way. We have our lecturer, Mr. Kalangi. He does not tolerate people coming with slippers or jeans or other football jerseys. That's because as a lawyer, you have to look formal. Imagine I'm dressed in rags and then I approach someone to say, no, you have to do this. No, you have to do this. They'll be like, why are you telling me this when you yourself look at how you're dressed? So if you as a law student dress in a formal way, even people out there will even look at you in that way that you represent. Thank you.